I used to think people who complained about housing prices were just being dramatic. Then I ran the numbers on what my parents paid for their house in 1998 versus what that same house would cost today, adjusted for actual wage growth instead of inflation. It didn't line up. Not even close. My name is Dave, and I spend way too much time thinking about how home prices became completely disconnected from what people actually earn. This is for anyone who's been told they're just not trying hard enough to afford a house, or that they need to sacrifice more like previous generations did. If you've ever done the math and felt like you're going insane, this might make you feel less alone. And if it resonates, there's more where this came from. Here's what people believe. Home prices are high because of supply and demand. Simple economics. More people want houses than there are houses available, so prices go up. And once you adjust for inflation, housing has always been expensive relative to income. Previous generations struggled too. That sounds reasonable because it is partially true. Supply and demand absolutely matter. And yes, buying a home has never been trivial. But the belief that it's always been hard quietly erases how much harder it's gotten, and more importantly, why it's gotten harder in ways that have nothing to do with working harder or wanting it more. The reason this belief feels true is because we're constantly told that homeownership is the foundation of wealth, stability, and adulthood. It's the American dream, right? So when houses feel unaffordable, the assumption is that you're not ready yet. You haven't saved enough. You haven't proven yourself. The house isn't the problem. You are. And that story protects the system from scrutiny. Let me show you the actual math, because this is where it gets uncomfortable. In 1985, the median home price in the U.S. was around $75,000. The median household income was about $23,600. That means the median home cost roughly 3.2 times the median annual income. Tight, but achievable for a household saving for a few years. In 2024, the median home price is around $420,000. The median household income is about $75,000. That's a ratio of 5.6 to 1. The house costs almost 6 years of gross income, before taxes, before living expenses, before anything. And that's the median. In cities where jobs actually are, the ratio is often 8 to 1, 10 to 1, or higher. So when someone says, my parents bought a house at 25, why can't you? The answer is math. Their parents bought a house that cost 3.2 years of income. You're trying to buy one that costs 5.6 years or more. It's not the same game. The goalposts moved. Here's a second shape this takes, and it's about what happens after you buy. Let's say you manage to save up a 10% down payment on a $400,000 house. That's $40,000. If you're saving $800 a month, which is a lot for most people, that's 50 months. Over 4 years. And during those 4 years, if home prices are increasing 5% annually, that $400,000 house is now $486,000. Your down payment needs to be $48,600. You just added another year of saving. You're running on a treadmill that's speeding up while you're on it. Even if you're doing everything right, budgeting, saving, cutting expenses, the target keeps moving faster than you can move toward it. That's not a personal failure. That's the structure. Let me tell you about someone I know. We'll call her Nina. She's 32, works in marketing, makes about $65,000 a year. Solid job. She's been saving for a down payment for 3 years. Started with a goal of $30,000 for a $300,000 starter home in her area. By the time she saved $30,000, those same starter homes were listed at $380,000. She needed $38,000. So she kept saving. 2 more years. Got to $40,000. Those homes are now $440,000. She's not spending recklessly. She's not buying lattes and avocado toast. She's doing exactly what she was told to do. But the math isn't working because home prices are increasing faster than her ability to save. And the longer this goes on, the more it feels like the system is designed to keep her renting forever. And that's not paranoia. I remember seeing data from the National Association of Realtors showing that first-time homebuyers now make up about 26% of the market, down from over 40% in the early 2010s. Institutional investors, corporations buying houses to rent them out, people buying second and third properties. They're squeezing out the people who just want one house to live in. The market isn't neutral. It's increasingly tilted toward people who already have wealth. I know the counter-argument. Just move somewhere cheaper. And sure, if you work remotely and have no ties to a specific location, that's an option. But most people can't do that. Their job is in a specific city. Their family is there. Their kids are in school. And even in the cheaper markets, prices have been climbing fast because everyone had the same idea. The affordability gap isn't just a coastal city problem anymore. It's spreading. Or people say, buy a fixer-upper. Okay, but fixer-uppers require cash reserves to fix them, skills to do the work, or money to hire contractors. If you're stretching just to afford the down payment, you don't have an extra $30,000 sitting around for a new roof and updated electrical. A fixer-upper isn't a budget option. It's a money pit for people without a cushion. Here's the pattern you need to recognize, and it applies to more than just housing. When an asset becomes an investment vehicle instead of a utility, affordability breaks. Houses used to be places people lived. Now, they're also retirement accounts, rental income streams, tax shelters, and speculative assets. When you're competing against people who see the house as an investment, not a home, you lose. They can outbid you because they're not thinking about monthly payments. They're thinking about ROI. It's like trying to buy tickets to a concert, but half the buyers are scalpers planning to resell them for profit. The face value becomes irrelevant. The price is whatever the market will bear, and the market includes people with way more money than you. Or think about it like this. Imagine you're trying to join a basketball game at the park, but the court is increasingly filled with semi-pro players practicing for tournaments. You just want to play for fun, but they're treating it like a career. The court hasn't changed. The game hasn't changed. But your chances of getting to play have dropped to near zero because the people using the space have different goals and resources than you do. That's the housing market. You want a place to live. They want an asset that appreciates. You're playing different games on the same court. So here are some questions to ask yourself, not because I have clean answers, but because the questions matter. Am I genuinely not ready to buy? Or has the market moved so far that ready is an impossible standard? If I do stretch to afford a house, what am I giving up? Savings, retirement contributions, emergency fund, quality of life? Am I buying because I want to, or because I've been told that renting is throwing money away, and I feel like a failure if I don't own? What does ownership actually get me that's worth the financial strain it would require right now? If I can't afford to buy where I want to live, is that a personal failure or a systemic problem I'm being told to blame myself for? Here's the reframe. Renting isn't failure. Renting is paying for housing. Owning isn't automatic wealth. Owning is paying for housing plus taking on maintenance, risk, and leverage. If renting lets you save, invest, and live without being house poor, that might be the smarter move right now, even if it doesn't feel like progress. The short version: home prices have outpaced wages by a massive margin. The gap isn't your fault, and saving harder won't close it if prices keep climbing faster than you can save. The trap is being told it's a personal problem when it's a structural one. You're not lazy. You're not irresponsible. You're not ready. You're living through a housing market that's fundamentally broken for people trying to buy their first home. And pretending otherwise just makes you feel worse for no reason. If this didn't clarify anything for you, but you know someone beating themselves up about not being able to afford a house, send it their way. They might need to hear that it's not just them. And if you're wondering what happens when you do buy a house and then realize the mortgage interest is eating you alive in ways you didn't expect, yeah, that's another trap hiding in plain sight. What does the math actually look like when you're paying a 30-year mortgage? And how much are you really spending on the house versus just renting money from the bank?